Yeah, Trotsky wasn't actually killed by that ice pick in Mexico. He's still around in Portugal.
running a school.
Yeah, running a school for Portuguese poshos.
He was killed by a Catalan guy.
Was he actually?
That's our claim to international fame.
Do Catalans have the same thing that Canadians do, where anytime someone is Catalan, you have to point out that they're Catalan?
There's like two of us. We need to.
It's the same thing with Canadian. I'm always saying to my girlfriend, "Oh yeah, he's Canadian actually."
Yeah, no. That's also like so. You're from Canada. You're from one of the Anglosphere psychic countries. So it's like Ireland, Canada, New Zealand.
That's right. If Canada was to be played in a film, it would be played by the one guy that's in all of the Judd Apatow movies and the Adam McKay movies, who's got the round face.
What?
Most of them Canadian. Seth Rogen's in them.
But Seth Rogen would be the America of that movie.
Is Canadian?
He's Canadian.
I will let you know.
What's the one from How to Train Your Dragon? Baruchel? What's his
Canadian.
name? Yeah, he's Canadian as well.
The thing is, I think, who did I tell? Oh, yeah. At Nick's birthday, we had a Canadian friend join us.
Yes. They're Canadian.
Yeah.
Canadian.
And,
You know who you are, you're listening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It doesn't matter, how much English I learn, I will never be able to differentiate between Canadian accents and American accents.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll tell you exactly why. It's because they're not different.
Right? Okay, no, because, no, but, someone who has been raised in a
unless
English,
unless they say about or sorry, you're not going to hear.
That's what I've heard. That
you're never going to tell.
Yeah.
The only reason you might know if someone's Canadian is they'll slip it into conversation.
Yeah.
They just be like,
or if they want to refer to something that generally happens in Canada, but also generally happens in America, you'll be like, yeah, that's just a pretty traditional North American expression. No American ever says, yeah, that's a pretty traditional North American expression, because they forget we're there.
Yeah, okay, fair.
It's you know what it is America has had a hat for a very long time, and they're still looking for that hat. They don't realize that it's on their head.
We've all been there.
Canada, America's hat.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, also to be fair, there are even if you're really good at it, there are American accents that get very close to Canadians, people from Michigan,
Minnesota, for example, just to name a couple.
And then Washington accents can get very close to Vancouver accents as well. So
North America is split vertically, not horizontally. Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's a way to understand. Toronto and Chicago are the same place.
Okay.
Torontonians like to say that Toronto is...
Torontonians.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the demonym.
What? I didn't say that right.
I recently found out the word for what someone from Madrid is called, and I hate it.
Madrileño.
Madrileño is
That's so many more syllables.
No, you just got the Germanic route. You're Madridders. It's
Madridders? What? Okay, stop trying to colonize.
I'm making you sympathize with people from Madrid. It's great. Yes.
I just realized what's going on. I don't like
Welcome
it.
to the podcast about tricking women.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear that
podcast.
I can't wait to hear that exact sentence clipped and put on Twitter. See? Fucking nailed it.
Content,
and all
baby.
It took was a bunch of beers.
All those is for me to be slightly tipsy.
You're more than tipsy.
I am.
I know you enough to know.
There's a lot of very early Corner Späti episodes where I can tell the exact moment when I've just gone I've gone past.
There's a German child who's just been here for a while.
Oh hell yeah! Hey,
hello. Give her a mic.
Well, here comes
the blue mic.
We have the fourth mic here. Yeah, absolutely. Getting room noise for the audience. Hey. This is your weekly Corner Späti. It is me, Ciarán, and I'm joined by Uma.
Hi.
And we have a special guest, expert in dead queens, Riley Quinn from Trash Future and the Bottlemen is here.
Yep, that's right. All of them. Every single one. If there's been a queen and they've died, I know about it. They call me. They call me, they say, hey, Riley, add another one for the book that you have.
Yeah, the Queen's died, and you're like, I know.
Yeah.
The dead Queen
I'm
connoisseur.
the first to know.
I've known for 30 minutes.
I smell the dead Queen. It's like, oh, the bouquet on this.
Yeah, like one of those cancer-smelling dogs, where it's just like, yeah, this country's got a dead queen in it.
Uma's making the face like she hasn't heard the term cancer-smelling dog before.
I have not. I've heard of the
Well.
cadaver, no.
Let me tell you.
Yeah,
What,
the cadaver?
does anyone remember the death horse that France had?
What?
Yeah, okay.
The death horse that
Death
France
horse?
had.
That is such a French thing. I don't even know what it is about.
The Chevrolet Le Mode or whatever the fuck. Du Le Mode. I was very good at French at one point, but not anymore. So, no, it was like the middle of the pandemic. The internet got briefly obsessed with this one hospital in France that would bring a horse to your hospital room when you were about to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if did everyone because I feel like if you bring a horse to a hospital room that tells you when you're about to die, the cause of death is probably pretty similar, which is a gigantic hoof-shaped imprint in your head.
It didn't look
No, it
comfortable.
didn't tell you. No, it's not like it was telling you that you were dying. You already knew.
Yeah.
It was supposed to comfort you, but
It was the
if I
it was the
dying-
Dignitas horse.
Yeah. Like if I was dying and a fucking massive horse just showed up in my room, I was just like,
Yeah, you'd be like,
give up right there.
you'd be like, I guess it's morphine's working.
Oh, man, reality really is slipping away in these final hours, I guess. The horse is here.
Now, I assume I'm hallucinating, and it's like, no, you're here for a sinus infection. Fuck off.
You're fine, actually. You just saw the horse incidentally.
Yeah, unfortunately, the horse follows Final Destination rules, so
Oh,
a
Jesus.
very, very elaborate and well worked out set piece death scene is coming for you.
Yeah. The horse prevented you from dying as nature intended.
It just killed you.
So now you're going to have some weird horse-related dressage-related
Here's the
death.
thing: I am terrified of horses.
Sure.
And
Why wouldn't you be?
My girlfriend,
They're too big.
big horse girl. That's what I think also. I think horses are far too... The thing is, they didn't even always used to be this big. They used to be much smaller.
Yeah.
No,
That's
that
why...
sounds fake.
No, that's... no, I will die on this hill.
Earth is 6,000 years old. Horses have always been this size.
Look, horses have been big, Earth very young. No, the thing is, look, horses used to be much smaller, which is why the initial horse conveyance technology was the chariot rather than the stirrup,
Yeah.
right? Because it used to be that because horses were bred to be much larger, and so that's why in like Egypt or like Assur or whatever, or like the Battle of Kadesh, like you have gigantic amounts of chariots and no riders because a horse can't really bear a sort of full-grown man until they're bred to be much larger later. And so the chariot is how you get around via horse without being able to sit on the horse because you have two horses per
I don't
chariot.
think I believe this, but
All right,
I know
we're stretching this out for an hour and a half. We can.
Welcome to Horse Talk.
So
Welcome to Horse Talk. They said stallions better at mares than racing. Ciarán.
Riley has come in with a bold claim that all horses were once ponies, effectively.
Yeah, basically.
And God will. Yeah. And what Trash Future is trying to do is we're trying to make a world where they are once again ponies.
Yes.
Make the horses smaller again. Mainly because my girlfriend, big horse girl, loves a horse.
Yeah.
And I'm very worried that one's going to kick me in the head and kill me.
Sure, absolutely. We're afraid of that too, but more for our dogs. Because
Why?
we go to Grunewald and people just like ride their horses through
Are you
Grunewald.
serious?
Yeah, they just ride their horses through Grunewald like it's nobody's business. And my
so
dogs are
weird,
just
though.
like, giant meat. Time to go over to that horse. I'm like, no, you're going to die.
Oh, I thought you meant that your dogs were meat for the horses. I'm like, horses don't.
Horses
don't eat.
are actually
I got-
opportunistic carnivores. If they're hungry enough, they will eat
They
a dog.
see a
I
dog
have
and they're
to
like,
admit, when you said the dogs see horses and go giant meat, I thought something much more crass.
For fuck's sake, man.
This is a normal episode of Corner
This is,
Space.
you can tell we're very normal.
The last time me and Uma,
sober.
it was just me and Uma, we were also this kind of like
Oh yeah, we're fucking
insane Dubliner chat.
Just hating on Dublin and Spain.
Yeah, pretty much.
And burping into the mic.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
normal.
that every podcast goes through that for a while.
No, it's fine. You're allowed to do it on this podcast.
No,
You'll get
we're
over.
just like
You'll get over the burp.
both of us were like brain dead.
Yeah. It was above 30 degrees. I can't be
Exactly,
expected to
yeah.
function above 30 degrees. But no,
Sorry.
yeah. So I'm gonna try put this back on fucking track.
Yeah, this I like being on this side of the put it back on track. You have the notes. I'm causing the chaos.
Riley is a big very insistent that the chaos configuration is when it's you, Alice, and Milo.
No. It's that's not really the chaos configuration. The chaos configuration is when I'm not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're not there to put order to things or
Look, I'm Mr. Notes. You know?
That's cute.
Oh yeah.
me, yeah.
No. That's the thing. If it was just the two of us, it would be like a display, a basketball game of nothing but fundamentals.
Yeah.
Bounce passing, normal jump shots, no threes, no dunking.
I was tall once.
I don't know baseball, but sure.
We're going for the European final soon. We're going to see some basketball.
Well, fun.
It's fine. Yeah,
be fun.
We're going to do an episode on European basketball.
Yep.
Spain.
Just a lot of incredibly huge Lithuanian guys.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of people from the Baltics and Serbia fighting each other, basically.
Yeah. You know, it was always going to happen. You know, as the only reason those guys aren't constantly fighting each other already is that just a whole bunch of other
Austria's
countries are in the
between.
middle. Like Austria's kind of holding them apart from one another. No, it's not worth it. Come on, you're drunk, Serbia. Go home.
Austrian thoughts about Serbia. Let's not do that right now. So we're here to talk the UK.
Do we have to? I just left there.
You just escaped.
The United Kingdom.
Wait, you said United Kingdom. That's 5Ks.
No,
Are they the Ku Klux Klan?
Yes. In the UK, it's needlessly twee. There's more coups.
You're right. What a stupid country.
But we are aware of the dead queen. Of anyone who's
What a
seen
touching tribute. I can't believe that Domino's UK tweeted, "We are aware of the dead queen and are managing the situation appropriately."
Please stop adding us. We're aware of the dead queen.
Which I thought really fun is all the brands that did
Dr.
the whole thing.
Utker did one today.
Dr. Utker did one.
no.
Like basically like a sex toy company did one,
Yeah.
like a lingerie
Jimmy's
sex toy
dildos
company.
or something.
No, another one did, and
okay.
Ann Summers, which is like a sort of
Oh, yeah,
like a
I know
lingerie
that,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
erotic.
Dr. Utker did
accoutrement.
one basically we knew her from the 40s. It was a whole thing.
She loved us initially.
Back then, we were best of
We're
friends.
Her main
old
problem with
friends.
us was that we were German and not British. The other one that I really enjoyed was Shrek: The Experience.
Yes,
So it was Shrek
I saw that.
! The Experience.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
apparently there's a Shrek thing in
well, there's
London.
you know Shrek, right?
I know Shrek, yes.
You're familiar with the ogre. You know?
I'm familiar with the
with
swamp,
the
Yeah.
Scottish
the whole thing.
ogre.
A donkey's there, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a familiar ogre, a known ogre.
Yeah.
So Shrek: The Experience, London. There's an exclamation. What do we do? Not
Exclamation.
pronounce the punctuation?
Well, why would they put it there if we're not to pronounce
If they're
it?
working hard to put it there in the name of Shrek: The Experience,
We have to
London.
respect that.
What am I going to do? Not say it? It was Shrek: The Experience, London. Offers their condolences to the nation and so on and so on. But the fact that there's an exclamation point in it,
Yeah.
just gave it a very strange air.
We're so
just the
sorry. The
fact-
queen's dead.
Just the fact that it's Shrek.
Shrek.
Jack.
Shrek jazz hands.
Look,
I want to make sure I'm remembering exactly the word. It is
Oh,
similar
I
to
saw like a lot of people just do a thread on like the most bizarre condolences tweets and shit.
yeah.
And it was so
there's a lot of good ones.
So fun.
But I'll tell you my favorite sort of not just the condolences, but also like people who've stopped business. Is
don't even know. That pisses me off.
the Bank of England was like, in honor of the Queen, we
Yeah.
won't be meeting to raise the interest rate. It's like, wow. As a tribute to Her Majesty, we're keeping it at 1.75%.
The one that's very surreal that I think has been posted quite a bit now is the fucking self-service screen at McDonald's. Just has a
Yes,
giant
yes,
picture of the
yes,
Queen on
yes.
it, being like, RIP whatever.
The tube as well. All the pictures.
The tube one is
It's so weird. But the thing is, like, if if that happened in like a country that the West thinks is totalitarian, they would be like
North Korea. Yeah.
like North Korea. They would be like, what the fuck? Like, this is so fucked up. And then it happens here, and we're all like, yeah, normal, I guess.
Uma, I have a question for you, as someone from, unfortunately, a monarchy. Have you lived through the death of someone in the Spanish royal family dying?
No.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, because Franco.
Yeah. It always comes back to him.
Oh my god, all the fucking he was actually the one who put Juan Carlos, so the dad of the current king, in charge.
Okay.
So
he's still alive, that first guy.
He is still alive. Actually, he is hiding in Dubai.
Oh,
because he's being investigated, but like, of course, he's not actually being investigated because he's the fucking ex-king. For fraud and like not paying his taxes.
It's very funny that he's in Dubai, where he could go live in like a mini Spain on their world island.
Yeah, no,
You know?
like he just like he's best friends with like the royal, the royal family of Dubai, and
sure.
shit. So like he's just there chilling.
But like, how could I forget about the fucking the Spanish king who was like force femmed by the Spanish the fucking Spanish Secret Service? We've talked about this, right? That he was like being slipped estrogen so he would stop fucking so much or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't that Juan Carlos?
Yeah, it was Juan Carlos. Yeah.
Yeah, because like honestly, it would be so embarrassing to be his wife.
I mean,
who is like Greek German, I think.
So yes, she is,
Yeah.
and the biographer of him was saying that like he had slept with like 1,000 women per year.
Oh, for fuck's sake, that's impossible.
Like,
Also,
if you're the king,
no, it's not impossible. But like, he's so
Why?
ugly.
They just-
He's so ugly. Like,
yes.
you know, he's not gonna give you anything because he can't. No, in a sense of like.
Wait a minute, if the king slides into your DMs.
like in terms of wealth or stuff like that, like he can't give you anything because like it will be discovered by journalists or whoever.
But Uma,
Ciarán.
Uma, I'm the main character of reality. When the king falls in love with me, it's gonna work out.
The thing is, like, everything started to like go to shit with him because some ex lover. I forgot her name. Corinne. No, I forgot.
Yes,
her name.
the German tennis player or something. Yeah.
She started talking. She was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna tell like everything about."
Do you know what? I think this romance between me and the Spanish king isn't going to work out. Fuck, I need to go to the press.
Exactly. No, she started talking, and then like his reputation just like started. I mean, obviously.
Holy shit! She Shinzo Abe'd him. Yeah, she moved against him, and then everyone was like, "Wait a minute, she had a point."
The saddest thing is like not everybody, because even like after the whole like fraud thing came up, this summer he went. So apparently they have a house or something in like the north of Spain, and because it's like cool and nice and it's not so hot.
But in Basque Country.
No, you can't go there.
No, they would put a bomb.
God,
in there.
I love
I
Basque
think.
Country.
Santander, maybe, or something.
It's my favorite place to go.
I think it's like in Galicia or somewhere.
A
like
place
that.
that's come up a few times today.
Yeah, Galicia.
Different.
And
legally speaking, the Jews of Galicia offer does not also apply in Western Ukraine.
And so he went back for the summer, and like there was a crowd to meet him. And be like, "Hi, we love you. Ooh, the king." It's like, are you guys like illiterate? Like, can you read the news? Like, do you know what this man has done? Like, besides being a king, which you should already hate per se, but I understand that maybe you support the monarchy in some way, but like then he's actually a criminal. So like why?
Yeah, but like
I wouldn't know what it's like to have a member of the royal family who's committed a big crime.
No one could.
What must that be like?
No one could possibly.
I don't know
relate.
that feeling.
Yeah. But like, yeah, no, it's Spain. Like every third TV channel is just like, you know what, Franco was all right.
No, for sure. Yeah, like, it's actually like disgusting.
So like, yeah.
And all your like little ladies just watch that and they're like, actually, I think you're right. Like, no, you were alive during that. Like, you know.
No, I don't remember any of that. This guy on the TV says it's pretty cool though.
I must believe
we
it.
had a space program.
The first astronaut ever was Spanish.
Exactly.
You have to respect that.
Spain. Anyway.
That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the Spanish.
We're talking about the Spanish crown being force-femmed. I'm still going to phrase it that way because that's being
slept, of course.
Slipped estrogen by the Secret Service to stop fucking.
To stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they were like, well, he's going to keep fucking, but hopefully
but not so
procreate.
much.
Like he'll shoot blanks.
You know what this is? You know what you're describing? You're describing like a run of Crusader kings where you're trying to keep your like kingdom from splitting up too much.
Yeah.
Just
absolutely.
like, all right, hit the button to like choose force femme.
I'm actually like really surprised that when Juan Carlos stepped down, like no one else besides Felipe was like, actually, like, you know, I'm his son, so I should be there. Yeah.
Anyway, the UK. We need to
I've
start.
heard of there.
Yeah, we need to start with. I think the first thing of interest to people of the podcast, which is the energy bills.
We've decided we're not doing those anymore.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we were going to, and it was going to take an act of parliament. But it would be rude to the dead lady.
Oh, yeah.
To solve the cost of living crisis.
Yes, it would be.
So we're going to let the cost of living crisis happen a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we're actually not going to solve the cost of living crisis. The plan, and this is a plan supported also by like labor as well.
Of course.
Is for the cost of living crisis to be frozen at its 2022 form. So we're keeping the 2022 cost of living crisis, and we are not going into a 2023 cost of living crisis. We're staying at this one.
Okay. So we're freezing the prices here.
Well, no, they're still rising.
Oh, okay.
So a little bit of background. Sorry,
Sure.
British listeners, you have to. Of the British listeners, I'm sorry that you have to hear this. Basically, the way that energy pricing... Have you talked about how energy pricing works in Britain before?
God, no.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, everyone's missing out on a real party. So, look, the way that it works, right, is that we have this fake regulator called Ofgem.
Sure.
And Ofgem sets what's called the price cap. This is introduced by Theresa May.
Yeah.
The price cap is basically says, here's the maximum amount you can charge per, like, unit of energy. And they say, here is what an average household will pay at this current price cap per unit of energy.
Okay.
It's like, all right, so the average household would pay, like £1,000 a year in energy bills, 1,200, whatever. And then after various like supply chain issues in Ukraine and stuff, that bill went up to about £1,900 per year, so like doubled. And then. Then the price, and it's weird, right? Because then Ofgem was like, okay, well, the price cap, by the way, is going to add another £1,000, and then that £3,000 annual bill is going to double also to £6,000.
Cool.
In April, and so at that point,
this is higher than the highest wage I ever had in the UK. At this point, it's like 3 times the highest wage I've had in the UK.
Per year.
Sure. Oh, okay.
£6,000 a year. That's still quite a bit for your electric and gas.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so where we ended up, right, was that this fake price cap, which just gets reviewed and raised every 3 months, like,
cool.
What's the point of the price cap if all it ever does is, like, double?
Yeah.
You might as well not have a price cap. Stop pretending.
Yeah.
And so then... What the energy plan that Liz Truss came out with was, look, all right, we agree, we accept that the British state is in no position to stop these very large energy companies from basically transferring all business activity in the UK to them. You know, we're basically like, through sheer incompetence, we're creating Zaibatsus out of like EDF.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Or EDF being one of the people that would own like our public energy company and so on.
Yes.
Like generators that we pay. Making just saying, okay, well, every pub is going to close because they have to pay, because everyone needs to give like the kind of feudal tithe that there would have been like an uprising about.
Yeah.
You know, to their feudal lord, fucking Scottish power.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like I've been checking in. I used to live in Edinburgh. Like my favorite Chinese takeaway has already closed down because of this and things like that. Like,
oh yeah, that's because the Tories hate to govern.
Yeah,
like they love being in charge, but they hate doing anything about it. Like even like with an 80-seat majority, right? Boris Johnson was able to get a couple of crackdowns through, but he had a full vision for transforming British society that was just too insane to ever actually get into the Commons. Sure. And so even with an 80-seat majority, untouchable, you couldn't really do much. Yeah. Except for like some very bad crackdowns, but that's like 5% of what he wanted to do. And so it's that Tories hate governing.
Yeah,
like they just can't do it. And so because they're very lazy, right?
They want
know
the title.
They know what they're there to do, and what they're there to do is to be a kind of pipe between the think tanks on Tufton Street that are all funded by the Koch brothers, and then Parliament. They're there to just make sure that those laws get passed, and they don't have to think about it or do anything, and then they get like their invitation to the fancy party.
Yeah,
right. They too get to be like get their fucking shit whipped in Dolphin Square or whatever.
Sure.
And so so anyway, back to this. Right, is what we have is because they were unwilling to govern, they were unwilling to do anything about several months of just. Okay, there's another guy in Britain called Martin Lewis, right? And he is the money-saving expert. His whole thing is he used to go on daytime TV and be like, here's how you can save on travel insurance.
Okay.
By the end of August, he was like, there will be riots in the streets.
Yeah. So, he was like, I can't help you anymore.
Yeah. So, like, our version of just, like, the kind of rather like avuncular guy on TV who talks to you.
I have an Irish equivalent, but that won't help anyone, I don't think. Like, yeah. Eddie Hobbs. He went and started Ireland's far-right party. The whole thing.
So Martin Lewis is one of these figures, kind of like the Queen, R.I.P., who was kind of apolitical and liked by many. Again, unlike the Queen, actually apolitical and liked by many, was Martin Lewis. Yeah. So the Queen's reputation as being apolitical and liked by many
was actually true.
True for Martin Lewis, the money-saving expert. And he was fully
the real Queen.
He was fully predicting like there will be civil unrest, society will fall apart. Yeah. You have to do something, or there will be riots.
Yeah.
But again, he was basically like turned into fucking like our home counties by the energy crisis. Because the Tories were unwilling to do anything about it until the last minute, and so a bunch of fucking businesses have closed. A bunch of people have been sent to like debt counseling services because they got like a £10,000 energy bill, like shit like this, because they weren't willing to do anything about it.
So like, okay.
Anyway, so what? Just the last thing. So what happened, right? Is that Liz Truss said finally she will freeze energy bills at £2,500 a year, which is £500 more than what they currently are for an average household.
Sure.
But because Rishi Sunak promised £400 of targeted support, they're like, it's basically the same. And so they're like, we're freezing bills more or less at their current level with a little bit of like maths on the end.
Okay.
But that's not happening by taxing the people who have centralized all of Britain's economic activity in themselves, which is the generators, and more specifically the private equity funds and other countries' publicly owned energy companies that own all of our energy.
Yeah, we love doing that.
That it's not going to be taxing those super profits. Those, again, unusual, bizarre profits. It's going to be from borrowing, which is, it's fine to like borrow to spend, right? But you're not borrowing to invest. You're basically borrowing to just give the money directly to EDF.
You're doing Klarna shit. You're borrowing to pay for grocery bills.
What's happening is that essentially the UK in its infinite wisdom is allowing France basically to borrow money on its behalf.
Cool.
Which, again, it's very funny in a sort of cosmic sense. But what hasn't been decided is, for example, what to do about this debt once. What to do about this debt, right? Because it's bigger than the furlough scheme. Because we were like, well, what are we going to do? Invest so this won't happen? No, that would be irresponsible. We're going to do nothing, hope nothing goes wrong, and then when anything goes wrong, the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
And so the question is how's that going to get paid back? And again, because there's very much that question in the Tory government, and I think some of the prevailing wisdom is that there will just be a levy on consumer bills for the next 20 years. So someone born today will spend, assuming they move out at 18 and start paying an energy bill, will be paying for 2 years, will be paying back the EDF from now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. No, but like,
amazing.
Again, will they actually do that? I mean, it's talking about that's what they want to do, but will it be politically possible? Who knows? I mean, it is a time of great foment at the moment. The time is out of joint.
It is. I mean, like the 20 years thing just reminds me of a comment we got last week from fucking De Croo, the president of Belgium. Prime Minister of Belgium.
Oh, they have a government now.
Apparently.
Oh, that's good for them.
a notion
for
about it. Like, it's a fun thing to think about.
Everybody, hey, you know what? Belgium.
Yeah, good job. It's Tintin in this.
It's Tintin this and nothing else.
No,
do not look at anything else.
Do not look at Africa.
There's the boy peeing and the beer. That's it.
Isn't that charming in a funny kind of way? No, but like De Croo was like, yeah, Europe's heading for like what? 10 hard winters, as he calls it. So we're 10. Yeah.
So many hard winters.
That's a lot of hard winters.
That's a lot of hard winters.
I'm not going to make it, personally. I am Irish. I have a lot of sweaters, but but they're good sweaters. But the okay, so like one difference I have to kind of mention for our like German audience, which is how direct debits or SEPAs work differently in
they can it's just a license for them to take whatever they want, really.
Yeah, okay, but interestingly enough with the UK, you can cancel it at your end as like at the person who like, so
it's weirdly more and less power for the person you're paying.
Sure.
So if you have a direct debit with your energy company, they can, like this happened to me actually this month. I had a direct debit of like £110 and they were like, it's 300 now.
Fun.
And then that's just, and we knew that because we saw that amount of money leaving the account.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. They don't tell you, but you do find out when it happens because you're like,
horrible.
I remember this being a different and lower number, and so that's what happened there.
I remember last month.
But you can also just cancel your direct debit, and due to kind of again like things that the Conservatives haven't got round to getting off the statute books yet, or things that would be politically difficult for them to get off the statute books, are things like rules around the fact that your energy company basically can never actually stop supplying you with power. Like, they can do a bunch of other... They can, like, try and take you to court. They can put you on a repayment plan, all kinds of stuff. But they really can't turn you off. Or to actually turn off your power is a Herculean undertaking. Like, huge.
Yeah.
It's basically impossible.
What about the people, like... So a thing that happens in the UK that is surprisingly common, but, like, insane to continental Europeans and Irish people is...
Prepayment meter.
Yeah, pay as you go. Yeah, basically.
So that's their goal, right? They can't disconnect you, but they can put you on a prepayment meter.
Yeah.
So if you're on a direct debit and you just stop paying, previously what they would do is go through a very long process that would take like a year.
Yeah.
Or again, if you don't have good enough credit, and you get a meter, and then you pay a charge to have the meter, like you rent the meter. Yeah. Basically. It's called the standing charge. And then you top up a card and then like tap your card on the meter and then your heat turns on.
Yeah.
So you can't it's very hard for them to disconnect you from power entirely. Once they do, though, you're constantly fighting a rearguard action to keep your house warm.
Yeah.
It is astonishingly cruel.
Okay, so to explain, because like this is really genuinely alien concept to a lot of the world. So I had one of these when I lived in Scotland where it's a box. Basically, the thing that measures my energy is also a thing that I can insert a special key card into, where I have to go to my local corner shop to top up with money. And like, that's how I pay for my energy. Like, I go to my corner shop, say like, hey, can I put 25 on this? And then I put that into my little box in my apartment, and I have £25 worth of energy on my box. Yeah, Uma's making faces.
Yeah,
this is like, yeah.
Britain's a very cruel country.
And like the only
that is so weird.
The only respites you would get from this is, one, you can go into negative of £5. So like if I put in 25 and I spend 30, that's fine. Just the next time I top up, I'm negative £5 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the other respite is, if I run out of energy after 7 p.m., they will not turn me off. They will let me have energy until 7 a.m. the next day. Because be like, you like, we'll let you have energy for the night.
The question for me would be this, which is, if you run out of energy at 5, do they turn you back on at 7?
No.
Oh, so you gotta make sure like you're strategic. You gotta make sure you're strategizing.
Yeah, so I have to make sure the fucking corner shop is open at certain hours and shit like that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it was fucking ridiculous.
What the heck? But so you don't get like just a normal bill?
No, you have to, because
it's like a pay as you go phone bill kind of shit. Like,
but what if you needed it to stay alive?
Yeah, basically, and it's Scotland. Like, it's cold.
It's fucking cold. Yeah.
So essentially, I one of the things that is, that's causing a lot of this consternation is there's a big campaign among people who have direct debits to just cancel the direct debits on October 1st if the action was not taken.
Which is, again, for German audience, is something we cannot do here. No. When you go into a direct debit in Germany, it's a contract. You cannot cancel it at all in your end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in the UK, it's more of almost like an API call.
Yeah.
That the organization you're paying has with your bank. Like, that's sort of the best way to understand it by analogy.
Yeah.
And you can just turn it off.
Yeah.
And then it creates a bunch of problems. And one of the things that
they'll chase you for money, for sure.
They'll chase you for money, but it takes them about 8 months of chasing before they put a prepay meter in your house.
Yeah.
And so there was this campaign, which again, I don't think we'll ever know for sure what the effectiveness of it was, but I imagine it was probably much greater than nil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I imagine it was
certainly
probably
more than zero.
not insignificant. Of just because if 1 million people, right, all just turned off their direct debits, none of the energy companies, and again, this is a bit complicated, right? Because there's several steps. There's generators. There's traders. There's the system operator. Then there's the retailers.
Yeah.
Right. The retailers buy the energy from the generators, and they sell it to you, the consumer, all this stuff, right? It's all basically just like trying to create a fake market where there really shouldn't be one, obviously. Sure. It's Britain. But, the retailers couldn't possibly cope with the kind of administrative overhead that would be created by that many people canceling direct debits. That was the theory of the Don't Pay campaign.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things where where because we were heading into what was quite literally an impossible situation, it was just much like, again, furlough was, right? Furlough was announced $1 short and a day late in the UK, right? It was far too late for a lot of people to not lose their jobs. It decimated a ton of businesses, and they did it at the last minute because they realized that a wizard wasn't coming in to save them, which is kind of how Tories govern. Yeah. And also a lot of how Labour would govern now as well, which is
the new guy,
which is do nothing and hope that maybe the problem goes away on its own. Because if you're going to spend anything, do anything other than just a crackdown or an invasion, it's got to be dragged the fuck out of you.
Yeah,
by the prospect of broad-based social collapse. And so basically, what happens is Britain has to come within kind of spitting distance of broad-based social collapse for the natural party of government to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Essentially. That's what is that's what's happened. Well, that was what was going to happen, but they were going to have to legislate for it. But now that would be rude to the memory of the Queen.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Is that the campaign that was on Twitter of like "Don't Pay"?
Yeah.
Well, yes, that "Don't Pay" was the same campaign. It was doing very well. And again, I think like just like with the furlough, right? Rishi Sunak didn't decide to do the furlough. It was a lot of pressure from people like John McDonnell. Like it was pressure from the unions. And John McDonnell, who was the shadow chancellor under Corbyn, right? Like these from the unions and the like high profile like left wing MPs, they really shaped a lot of how the furlough program worked, which saved a lot of lives during the pandemic, a lot of livelihoods, saved a lot of businesses even. And so much the same thing. It's like the Tories to act need an alternative. They need a thing that they know they're acting against. And in this case, Labour was kind of campaigning for them to do more or less what they did, but with one key difference. So Labour's campaign, which, again, as much as I hate Starmer, I have to admit, like, what Labour suggested to do was better than what the Tories did, which is more or less what they did, which is just decide that the current cost of living crisis is fine and we're just going to stay there. But that Labour wanted to pay for it through a tax on the super profits of these firms.
Sure.
As opposed to borrowing that would be paid back by everyone just slowly.
Yeah, I mean, like that's another thing that's happening with this cost of living crisis is there's a handful of companies that are making absolute fucking bank, which is one of the reasons why Berlin is getting the €9 transport ticket back next month.
Yeah.
Is because they're like, everyone's like, where's the money coming from? And they're just like, well, pharmaceutical companies and tech companies have made absolute bank during the pandemic, so we're just going to take it from there. We've already got like a tax surplus from them, so we can afford this. I'm
so fucking happy it's going back.
It's going to be great. I love
like
it.
my student ticket is running out.
Just as
month.
This is coming
just
back.
in time. Yeah.
A €9 ticket. How long of transport does that get you?
The forever.
That's
like Berlin.
Oh, okay.
For a month.
Is it not like just until December?
So yeah, because
they're doing like a
in
trial
Britain, that's what you
run,
get
no?
for a day.
I know. So
God damn. And that's in London where transport's massively subsidized. In like Birmingham, that's like a round trip bus journey.
I know.
Fuck's
Like
sake, like in
Edinburgh was the
Dublin.
same. Edinburgh was the same. So like, yeah, the €9 ticket gets you infinite transport in Berlin for the month. That's the plan.
Okay.
They're only doing it until the end of the
December,
year
yeah.
because the assumption there's going to be an alternative put in place by the whole country.
Okay.
Yeah. So if that doesn't happen, I'm assuming they're going to try and continue it.
Hopefully, because
Yeah.
like I was stressing out, like, oh fuck, my student ticket is running out. I'll have to pay the fucking €80 or whatever it is now.
Yep.
Fuck this, because my employer also does not have the discount thing.
Yeah. For people and for context, the equivalent is €80 per month if you're paying per month. If you agree to be in a whole 1 year contract, it's €69 per
which
month.
still is like so much money.
Yeah, it's
Like
well,
I don't make that much money
No.
from my job, so it's already like it's
a lot cheaper than say like what you're getting in Ireland or the UK.
For
but,
sure.
But by German standards, it's considered very expensive.
yeah. Like I remember years ago, I came here for an exchange. And my parents gave me like a X amount of money.
Yeah.
Literally all the money went to transport.
Yeah.
Like I did not like eat out, like, you know, I ate with my exchange, like family, stuff like that. All the money just went for transport because it's that expensive here.
Yeah, to be like to get the like monthly ticket in like what the NRV fucking super city of what Cologne, Dusseldorf, and Bonn is like €40 a month or something like that. Yeah.
That's still not very much.
No, but
Like we're just saying that like the Berlin equivalent
is really
is €69 to €80 a month.
That's still not very much.
The UK just they are abusing
you. Come from London, whatever.
You're getting abused.
That's like really how a lot of like. That's the best way to understand how a lot of people in Britain live is just like, being abused by like by a kind of psycho nanny state.
So like there is a thing where you'll encounter, especially as like an English speaking person in this city, where you'll definitely encounter like a professional managerial cast who was like, I have been offered a similar job in London, right? Like I could work in London if I wanted, right? There are job offers there, blah blah blah. The wages are the same. And they're just like, the wages are the same, but the cost of living is like
Higher.
50% difference or something. So I'm picking the Berlin option. It's like that's like super common here. Like it's like an origin story for like a lot of people who live here.
That's the thing. Like every time I tell my parents or like someone from Barcelona, Catalonia, or Spain, like how much I'm making here, they're like, "Oh my god, you're rich." Like, I'm like, no, I'm like I'm living. It's normal. It's like the normal. Like I'm a junior worker. Like I'm not even like a senior position, obviously, because I just started. So it's like I make like the minimum that you would make in an office job, but still for like Catalonia or Spanish standards, that's like.
So when you go back to Spain, money. Are you just like, fuck it, I'm going to Asador et Shibari. Let's go. We're splashing that shit.
No, but like
table for two, Arzak. Let's make it happen.
Like I told my brother how much I'm making. He was like, "Oh my god, that's so much money." I'm like, "No, it's normal. It's just like
no, it's not." I say as I order a second turbot at Elcano.
No, because I have.
So I really love Basque restaurants.
I have family.
Yeah, like they're really good. So
I have family in Spain as well, and it's a similar kind of thing of just like they're kind of on the same wage as I am, but they have a house. Kind of shit where it's just like, oh yeah. Like, fair enough.
I just feel like there we're so used to like gaining like making so little money that like anything like normal or like above normal is like, oh my god, you're like a millionaire. It's like no, actually that's what you should be getting paid, but like Catalonia sucks.
I used to work from people who like came from Madrid and they were paying like €400 a month for rent, and then they saw Dublin and they're like, "Oh, that's poor child." It's like, no. Yeah.
But, hey, the Queen died.
Yeah, let's get back to it. Let's do this. Everyone takes a drink of beer. We're all very drunk.
That's because we were supposed to hang out for 10 minutes and then start recording. And what did we do?
We hung out for like an hour.
We hung out for like an hour and a half.
Just drinking beers.
Woo! All right, so let's talk about the
sound.
I know, right? Let's talk about the two Lizzes. Because
the two Lizzes, it's the two Corys for New Generation.
That tweet of like, I'm not a fan of the Queen, but meeting Liz Truss and immediately dying is such a move.
I mean, I think the idea. This is there's two sides to this, right?
Okay.
There's the there's the weepy British journalist side where it's like, she just wanted to do her last task and she was holding on because people now have a place and a time for when they want to go. And then the other side of that is, she met Liz Truss and was like, no, I'm out.
Fuck this.
This woman is insane. I'm just gonna die now.
Can't be bothered with this.
Can you, for our unfamiliar audience, give us a brief introduction to the lesser Liz Truss?
The lesser
God, where do you even
Well, the
begin?
one was queen for ages. Like, she is the...
I thought this was a socialist podcast. Liz Truss is a government employee. She's a worker for the other Liz.
Did you see that video of her, like, when she was a student at Leeds?
Yeah.
Being like, I hate the monarchy.
Yeah.
Like,
and then, goes to visit her and dies.
I'm not saying anything, but...
Yeah, it could have been like an Assassin's Creed situation.
Or one of those, like, wrist knife blades.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one was willing to tell us, but she actually died of several stab wounds.
Did she hand her a drink? Did she give her a drink?
Oh, yes. Your Majesty, let me pour you the tea.
Yeah, exactly.
Just throws a million powders into it.
Start with a half, Your Majesty.
No, I'm not drinking. It's fine.
So, yeah, the
straight edge, actually.
The thing is, it would be like the other thing was, like, the thing to understand first about the royal family is that, like, their ordinary Tuesday consisted of getting completely plastered by two.
Yes.
They would often drink like 4 to 7 cocktails.
Yeah, you
like,
can't
a
poison
day.
this woman.
Like, unpoisonable Rasputin levels of like resistance.
Gins you've never heard of.
There's the secret 14th botanical. It's kids. So essentially, Liz Truss was until recently Foreign Secretary.
Yeah.
Her last major act as Foreign Secretary was in February 2022.
I know about this.
Was in suggesting that, in contravention of the law, British people should go over to Ukraine and fight with their army.
Yeah.
Which, again, later had to be clarified by, like, officials from 5 different departments, no, do not do that. You are breaking the law. You go do that. Please do not do that. But because she did that, then Dmitry Peskov was like, oh yeah, we put our nuclear deterrents on high alert because of comments I will not... because of some comments of a world leader I will not name, but it was Liz Truss.
Oh.
But let's say it was Liz T. That's too obvious. L. Truss.
Essentially. So Liz Truss is someone who's, again, I think we've spent some time understanding on Trash Future, is someone who's largely described as perhaps one of the most dangerously vacuous politicians. Because she does not really have an understanding of the world beyond Westminster.
Sure.
Which is to say that the only way that information comes into her head is based on the framing of how will this play among like the lobby and other MPs and so on and so on. To believe fully, really clearly, firmly, that the center of the world is in Westminster.
Yeah.
And so this is why you end up with her being like, I would say, quite rashly bellicose towards Russia at the beginning of the war. Of the war,
well, she becomes like a living doomsday clock accelerator,
somewhat.
Yeah,
because she's unable to comprehend that these kinds of statements will have effects other than positive Daily Mail headlines and maybe outraged, like, you know, labor left people. You know, and if you see the world only in those terms, like only in those terms, then nothing else can penetrate that. Nothing else can get through to you because you are basically a kind of militant for being an idiot.
Yeah.
You're sort of a militant idiot, basically.
Yeah.
And that's the only... And the thing is, like, the conservative... The way that she was chosen as prime minister wasn't through an election.
No.
It was because she was... After Boris Johnson resigned for being too much of a pussygetter and being too good of a host, some might argue. He stepped down as head of the Conservative Party. She was just chosen among MPs as the head of the Conservative Party,
which
by conservative registered conservative members, of which there are about 160,000. You know, like avowed racists, basically.
But like, which UK prime minister of recent memory has actually gone through an election?
Well, Boris Johnson.
He went through one, but that's not how he got like his position.
Right?
Of
course. So how many British prime ministers in recent memory were put in their position by an election? The last one was David Cameron in 2015.
Yeah,
that's the last prime minister that became prime minister from an election rather than an internal party election. Yeah.
So that's cool to know.
It's a really dysfunctional polity, like, and a really fundamental. I like living there. Like, my family's there, all my friends are there.
Yeah.
You know, my girlfriend's family is there. Like, I have no intention of leaving.
Yeah.
But it's a deeply dysfunctional polity.
I mean,
I sort of regret kind of anchoring my entire life there at this point.
I mean, I am the champion of separating, like, how the day-to-day life is completely different from the politics of a country. That is Ireland in a certain sense of, like, great on a day-to-day level. The people are lovely. Jesus Christ, the politics and society is terrible.
I thought you guys loved being a sort of big platform in the North Atlantic upon which Apple can just put $1 trillion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a big... It's like in the end of Titanic, just a big door.
Yeah.
In the middle of the North Atlantic,
and the people
with money on it.
Yeah,
and you can't have any.
No, and the people of Ireland are Leonardo DiCaprio drowning, even though there's plenty of room to get up on
instead
there.
Of
no, but it was about. Like,
I'm not doing this.
Wait, okay. I've never watched Titanic.
Nor have I, actually.
No, I've never.
Why am I the only one in the room who's seen Titanic?
Because
you're the only one who knows how to love.
I am married.
I just know how it ends, and I'm sad about it, so I don't want to watch it.
Everyone knew how it ends.
No, I know, but like the whole thing with DiCaprio like dying and being like, oh, Rose, and just drowning.
I'm sorry, you turned 26.
Not 25.
Oh yeah, of course.
25.
He doesn't let them get to 26.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so that's how Liz Truss has to be understood.
Yeah.
I mean, she's very weird. She's interpersonally strange.
Okay.
This is like all British politicians, except for like the ones who are there for a real... Like, Jeremy Corbyn, not an interpersonally strange man.
No, yeah.
A bit extremely avuncular, very sincere, but, like, a normal person.
Yeah.
So, the rest of them, however, like, from Wes Streeting to Liz Truss, are all people who spent their early lives in Britain, looked at its politics, and said to themselves, I'd love to get involved in that.
Yeah.
This seems great.
Yeah.
Fair.
For me, this please.
Yeah, that's pretty damning. But then we move on to the second Liz, who...
Big Liz.
Big Liz. Dead.
Yep. QD.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's official. The Q is D.
Yeah. So...
QD.
QD.
Fuck's sake.
I'm not sure there's much to say about this other than...
Excuse me, there's quite a bit to say about it.
Yeah, fair.
This is because you don't have to live among the British.
I don't.
It's
great.
Yeah. You know what?
Who are deranged.
I envy you.
Yeah. People who looked at me and said, why does your passport look different?
Oh, where in England is that accent from? And so on and so on.
Manchester.
Anyway, I know, right? Manchester, named after a hill, named after boobs.
What?
There's also a town in Quebec that's called that. It's called Tadoussac.
Yeah. This is okay. So actually, I'm gonna before we get into
I
this,
am so confused.
understanding a Celtic language and living in the UK is basically a magic power.
Okay.
Because you're just like, oh, this is where you got all your names from, and people like from Manchester is like,
That's where I got like a third of the names from.
yeah, a third. Okay, sure, a third of the names from, but then like Manchester, yeah, proud city is like, yeah, you're named after boobs. Like,
Really?
you saw some hills. There's a hill outside of Manchester, and they were like, those
That's
are
boobs.
boobs.
Yeah, that's,
And then
yeah.
we're-
But
Yeah, I've seen boobs. They have trees on them.
Like,
The hill looks like boobs.
no, sure, okay, but like,
Yeah,
we're,
that's exactly how Tadoussac in Quebec was named as well. Same
yeah, but
principle.
like we're in Manchester, like,
Where are the
So
hills?
the-
Where are the hills, Karen?
no.
The
like,
Manch part of Manchester comes from the a Celtic word "muin," which is the word for boobs.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you very
Muin?
much.
Muin.
Muin.
I was
No.
in Manchester
the
once.
word for boobs is the same
Muin.
the same sound that a cow makes, huh?
Yeah.
That's a very misogynist language.
Oh, show me one that isn't. Show me one that isn't. Show me a European language.
Show me on the doll where the European language wasn't misogynist.
Exactly. Anyway, Queen's dead.
Yeah, QD.
Yeah, I told my boyfriend that we were gonna talk about the Queen's death, and
Yeah.
he was like, "Just don't me to you." like try to keep it.
Oh no!
down.
Anything positive we say, you have to realize that we're all shaking our heads, so you know we disagree with it.
Yeah. You can't see it. but
I'm applying to a new job. I don't want to.
the Germans do not care.
To be honest, a lot of British people also don't care. You know
Yeah.
who cares is columnists.
Yes.
Columnists
Oh, okay.
care, and then
How do
like
you pronounce that?
Columnists.
Columnist.
people who write opinion.
No, I know.
Yeah,
what that-
columnists.
Thank you very much.
It sounds very. I don't know what word carries
I just
over.
like the thing is like when you you don't know that because you haven't learned another language, but like when you read a lot of words and you don't know how to actually pronounce it. Like you know the word and what it means.
Of course, yes.
But you don't know how to actually pronounce it. But so you said that I was like, wait, what?
Wait.
That's how you pronounce
Wait,
it.
there's an N in there? Why?
Exactly.
No, you didn't say that. You said columnists.
Columnists.
What?
We cannot fix it at
Sorry,
this point.
whatever.
Britain is, to be fair, like fully 3% of British society is columnists.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
quite astonishing.
Oh yeah, and they're all annoying.
And they're 100% in control.
99.9%.
Truly, Marx did not predict the most annoying social class. Look.
Look, let's get serious now.
Let's get serious. I mean, hold on. I'm just gonna.
Oh, he's gonna.
Oh,
the
you gonna?
chair's so tall. I can't sit backwards.
Were you going to rap with
see your
us?
I was gonna rap with the kids.
I think I'm older than you.
Yeah, well, never mind.
Well, I'm the youngest.
Essentially, yeah, when it all happened, there was this great outpouring of anxiety from a bunch of columnists, but mostly it was directed at the idea, not really of losing the Queen, but it was directed at the idea that some other people wouldn't be as distraught about losing the Queen as they were.
Yeah, okay.
Because really, fundamentally, like the role of the Queen in Britain was to be a kind of deniable apolitical head of state. Definitely very political, right? Maybe not party political, but political in a capital P.
Yeah.
And a lot of what she did was essentially served as a kind of gloss on much of what Britain did at home and abroad. You know, by being a kind of by making if you imagine what the British state does, right? If you imagine what the British state does from like Malaya in 52 to the Mau Mau, through the beginnings of Vietnam up until now, Iraq, etc., but also at home, right? Like sort of starving people through benefit sanctions and things of that nature.
And the north of Ireland as well.
Yeah, of course, indeed. Like everything in Ireland. Is what the Queen does is essentially humanizes that process and makes you kind of interpersonally attached to it.
Yeah, what if all of that terrible stuff we just mentioned was your nan? Like, basically.
Yeah.
Another small German child has struck the studio.
A second small German child has struck the studio.
Yeah, but essentially, right, it was to make these kinds of things palatable.
Yeah.
And to make them not seem political, because the British state is supposed to be above petty questions of politics.
Yeah.
But what that always really means is that there is a great unchallengeable consensus at the heart of it that was personified by one extremely old woman. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, right, is that there is no one person. And the thing is, a lot of people have said there's no one person that exemplifies the modern British state more than Queen Elizabeth. And they mean that as praise for Queen Elizabeth.
Sure.
Because they think the modern British state is a fundamentally good thing. I would say the same, but...
yeah, with different outcome. Yeah.
In as much as... You know, in as much as the point of ideology, in many cases, is to make social reproduction happen by like shaping belief, because action has to be directed, and that means belief needs to be shaped. And the Queen plays an incredibly important ideological role, which is maintaining the idea that there are certain things in Britain that are above politics. Commonly understood. And so, part of that was also that she was quite deeply loved by people over 50. Right? If your experience of the British state was the experience of someone over 50, you have a much higher chance, again, not total, obviously, but you have a higher chance, you have a higher likelihood of your experience of the British state being that it sort of took care of your university, that it gave your parents a council house, that it did all of these great things, that maybe it sold you a council house at a massive loss. What a benefit for you. You love the British state. It's done nothing but good for you for most of your life. Whereas if you're sort of 40 or under, your experience of the British state is it only really is interested in you if it can arrest you or send you to war, right? Your experience of the state is very different.
Yeah.
And so there's... And so the feeling, I think, of the personification of the modern British state as it currently exists, because like before the Second World War, right, Britain was fundamentally a different country. It was a different country that functioned in a different way, that was governed by a different governing consensus. After the Second World War and through the 80s, is a period of much more continuity, where there was a recognizable British state centered around let's say, working out the interests of capital in the sort of Fordist and post-Fordist model that was centered around being a kind of slowly privatizing service provider, that was centered around being second fiddle to a U.S.-led global empire. Like these constants were from after World War II, right?
Yeah.
And the personal association of Queen Elizabeth with every element of that, right? Like one of the things we cited in the episode of Trash Future that we did about this was about what she said about the Malayan emergency in 52, right? This is one of the sort of biggest of the British state's many crimes. This is probably one of the worst. There was quite a bit of torture that was directly implicated, like not just British people sponsored by the British, but just British troops themselves, so on and so on in Malaya and now Malaysia. And you know, this is the one, and in her address in 52, there's Queen Elizabeth directly stepping up and more or less taking responsibility for this, but saying, and I'm doing this for you, the people living in Britain. Right? There is a connection to not the British state just as the political entity that governs the territory of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, but rather there's a connection to the British state as a kind of force, as a kind of idea. It is reified as another thing. It exists as a kind of gestalt among British people. It is a shared thing, a shared product of their consciousness, as this. Almost like American Christianity, right, worships God as America. Well, I think there's a similar, not entirely dissimilar thing in Britain, but rather almost sort of more secularized. Whereas there is this belief in a kind of British exceptionalism that is approximately 70 years out of date because it could not be otherwise. And to have the personification of that, the person who connected that to reality, right? The person who brought that gestalt and concretized it, the person who is the physical manifestation of that, to have them die poses enormous ideological problems for the British state itself, because you need to keep people bought in, not just to the thing that you're doing, but the thing that you are. And fundamentally, this quite, again, very much built up her whole life to be a kind of uncontroversial, beloved by all figure. Again, that's not what she actually was, but that's how she was. That's her function, right?
She was depicted like that.
Yeah, and to have that vanish, essentially, and be replaced by someone who is deeply controversial, who's not beloved by all, who is not just sort of, we're talking a public opinion poll, but also by the elite.
Yeah.
Right? The sort of senior civil servants, senior people in business, media people, right? The opinion of Charles is very different.
He's going to be on the money. He's going to be on the postage. He's going to be
really
everywhere.
I'm not excited for him to be on the money. I mean, I'm not really for a cashless society transition because that just sort of inserts like Visa and MasterCard into every transaction. But, I mean, if it keeps me from having to look at him every day. But, you know, what I'm saying, I guess I'm driving at, right, is that I don't think anyone's really reckoned with the fact that a very useful for the state's purposes organ of the state no longer exists and can't be replaced. And what that will do, not just when I say the British psyche, I don't mean the psyche of every individual person, but rather the sort of shared political consciousness of Britain is not going to ever be what it was. This is the sort of the final nail in the coffin of what you might call modern Britain, capital M, capital B, that kind of started in the 50s, reached its height under Blair, and then has sort of slowly been deteriorating kind of since then.
Sure.
I feel like the Queen just gave, as you said earlier, like just gave some British people the excuse of like being apolitical, but I love the Queen.
Yeah, well, there was this idea, really, that there is the state and party politics, and the state is different from politics.
Exactly.
That the state is this eternal thing drifted. I mean, it's very Burkean, right? The state is this eternal thing that comes from history. Yeah. Capital H.
Yeah.
And you know, this is one of the reasons why British liberals and conservatives can all agree on the Queen, is because they all fundamentally agree about what the state is and should be. They disagree kind of about certain elements of what it should be doing, but they agree about much more than they disagree. And a figure like the Queen in charge of something like the state sort of quite facilitates that sort of relationship between political tendencies that, again, have to be quite managed, that have to agree on more than they disagree on. Yeah. Really. I'm sorry. You might want to edit this out. I have to pee tons.
Yeah, me too. But let's just end the episode here. If you.
Oh, how long has it been?
It's been an hour and a bit. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
Okay, well, cut back in.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much everything we want to say about the Queen, other than she is dead. I am Irish. The posting has been great.
Interesting. A lot of the yuck 'em ups were towards the front half of the episode. We really didn't get a lot of yuck 'em ups in about the Queen.
Well, Twitter's been handling that.
Yeah, they've been doing that. We've been talking about like what are the actual like socio-political implications of QD.
Exactly. So I think we've done our part. We've contributed to society. We are once again not like leeches on the side of content. We can happily say
we can rest easy.
Yeah, this is a podcast
I can go to the club and be like, well, I've done my thing.
Berlin, city of dreams and hopes.
And techno.
And mostly techno, mostly that. And cheap cost of living. That's the two things. And with that, Riley, is there anything you would like to shout out at the end of the episode?
Yeah, shout out King Charles III. He's relatively new monarch on the scene, but like I'm excited to see, like what he gets his grubby little fingers into.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm excited for new scandals regarding the royal family.
Scandals, flim-flam, scams.
Yeah. Can we just say that like he said that he wished he was a tampon? Camila,
that
like
whole thing. I'm not ready to discuss that.
Wait, was that was what, like, just like a love
when
letter,
he was
right?
married to Diana, he, like, when he was sexting Camila, he basically was like, oh, I just want to be inside you so badly, I want to be your tampon.
Hell yeah.
It's so cool that the king has trash DM game. That's awesome. That's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
But also I've been there.
I mean, that'd be a great Halloween costume for King Charles III.
Would
just be
a bloody tampon.
And he'd be like, no, it's not the KKK, despite what you might think.
It's actually a tampon.
It's actually a tampon because I'll have you know, I love pussy.
Yes. And
anyway.
that is the episode. Do we have any announcements? I don't think we do. The Flink workers are making progress. I believe they have an electoral committee towards making a Betriebsrat. So
Germany.
Yeah, right?
Have they decided on the color to make the binder that they're going to put the rules in?
It's going to be pink. It has to be. It's Flink.
Yeah,
but so good luck to them. All our support. Yeah. And we will see you next time on Corner Späti. Oh, shit. Actually, we're doing a Q&A, so send us questions. It's on the Patreon.
Send them questions. I'm going to send a question.
Go for it.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to send a question, which is, Ciarán, how'd you get so cute?
What?
Karen is now blushing.
I do the straight guy thing, which is I moisturize sometimes. All right. With that, we'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everyone.